Welcome to Papa's Workshop. You know, safety has to be the #1 priority in any shop, and I know it is in mine. And today what I want to be able to do is show you how to make just some simple, easy to make push sticks. And the first one that I'm going to do is this type of push stick right here. It helps to hold the material down and it keeps your hands from slipping into that blade because your hand's actually enclosed in this area. And the other push stick that we're going to make is just a very simple traditional push stick, and I think this is where the name came from. So let's get started and show you how to make these two very, very important safety features that you have to have in your shop. These tools are indispensable. As you push a piece of wood through the saw and cutting it, you need to be able to use that push stick to be able to push it through. But you see how it raises up? That's a problem. So if you're shoving this through, it's going to have a tendency to raise up every time. One of the ways to be able to combat that is to use 2 push sticks, but that can be a little bit dangerous because you can get that push stick into the blade, and you really don't want to do that. Oftentimes when I am using the saw, I will use 2 push sticks, and I'll use a push stick here to be able to feed it through, and then I'll catch it on the back side and catch it and feed it through so that it doesn't raise up and doesn't bind. Today what I want to be able to do is make a push stick that actually rests on top of the wood that you're running through. Now the push sticks that I'm going to make in my shop are for everyday use. They're not pretty, they're not fancy, but they work. And that's the important thing. You'll never find a beautiful push stick in my shop because mine are made to use. And if something happens and that push stick gets cut, so what? I don't care because it's just a push stick and it's for the use to keep my fingers safe. So for that reason, I don't make the fancy push sticks. I don't want to be afraid of damaging it because it's so pretty. I want it to be workable. Now one of the things that I want to have happen, I want this push stick to be long enough to be able to hold down this wood at this end so that it does not lift up. So I'm going to cut a small groove here, very similar to the groove I have on this side. And that's going to be on this back portion, and it's going to go all the way. I also want it to be comfortable. I want it to be comfortable to my hand when I'm pushing it through, and I want it to be over more toward the center. I don't want it back here because I'm having to put pressure to hold it down. I want my hand to be able to do that. So for that matter, the handle is going to be more toward the center. To be able to get that angle and to be able to feel comfortable with it, I decided to use the bevel square. So I've just loosened this up, but if I put that down, what angle is most comfortable for my hand? That actually bends the wrist. I don't want it to do that. So if my wrist is straight, my hand's at this angle, that's probably a pretty good angle, whatever that happens to be. And this will probably vary from your hand versus mine, but I think that's a good angle. Now most of the material that I cut in my shop is 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. Occasionally I'll use a 1/4 inch plywood that I'll cut, and very, very rarely do I cut 1/8 inch plywood or something smaller. This old push stick that I have, this had a 1/4 inch slot right here, and I think I'm going to stay with that. So I'm just going to mark a 1/4 inch. So all I did is just mark 2 points, a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and then connect the dots with my ruler. And again, nothing fancy here as far as designing this push stick. And I'm going to leave a little slot at the back, and that will get cut away. Now, to be able to put the handle portion in here, I want to be able to raise this up and still keep this angle square. So I would say right along in here, I want it to be not on the forward side, but I want it to be back in this back third. So right about here is where I want the handle. So it'll be in that angle there. And all I'm going to do is just curve this. And there's nothing really fancy about this. I am just freehanding this. The good thing about this, if I don't like it, I can just throw this one away and draw out another one, because it's not expensive and it's just so simple. And that will come right down here. It will curve with a gentle curve. And that will come right up like this. Now, how wide is my hand? My hand is going to fit right into this area. Just so you know, yeah, I could have designed this and cut it out on the CNC, but why waste the time? Because I know a lot of you guys don't have CNC machines. But if you do, this is easily could be transferred over, and you could draw it and cut it out on the CNC. Now, everything that I've done is literally free-handed. And there's the push stick. Let me get this up close so you can see it. Again, this is 100% free-handed. The only thing that I may do is make this a little bit wider. Well, it's off to the bandsaw to be able to cut this out. And this goes very easy with the bandsaw. And then from there, on that inside portion where I need to be able to have my handle, I'm just going to take that over to the scroll saw. Leave me a comment down below if you'd like for me to do this on the CNC machine, or if you're just happy with seeing it this way. You tell me. So if I get an overwhelming response to be able to do it with the CNC, I'll actually take this pattern and trace it and be able to cut out this exact pattern. But again, it's up to you guys, so please leave a comment either way. Thank you. So there's the basic shape cut out. Now, I did change this a little bit. I decided to make this a little bit wider. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to the scroll saw and cut this center portion out. Now, before going to the scroll saw, I do want to cut out this bottom section. So I'm going to cut this little notch first and then just rip this little 1/4 inch piece of the wood off. And that is the easiest way, is just with the bandsaw. And I'm using my hand just as a guide, and I can have a very nice straight cut this way. Before taking this over to the scroll saw, I decided to clean this up a little bit because I want that to be a little bit nicer. And what I'm going to do, I have just a socket. This is a 3/4 inch. And I'm going to put that right about there. And I'm just going to draw my circle. And I'm going to come down to here. And I do want this to be parallel. So that is going to be a 1/2 inch. So right here, I'll make that a 1/2 inch. And I'll be able to bring that line on down. And then from there, I'm going to put that right in that position and draw the line around it. Then all I have to do is just connect these 2 points, and that's going to give a much better cutout than having that freehand that I just sketched in. I believe the scroll saw is the best tool to be able to do this, and The only preparations you need to do is just be able to drill a hole large enough to be able to accept the blade. And once you reattach the blade through that hole, then cutting this oval out is very, very easy to do. Now it's off to the sander just to be able to clean up those cut marks. And again, this oscillating sander makes the work go very, very quickly. And of course, to sand the outside, I want to be able to put the larger disc on because that actually makes it where it cuts even faster. Now I'm not cutting the notch at the bottom. I want that to remain a little bit rough. That'll provide a little bit of gripping action. Well, now it's time to be able to test this new push stick out. So I'm just taking a scrap piece of wood, putting the push stick in place, and running it through the saw. It works great, and it's very comfortable on my hand. I think this is a success, and I should have done it a long time ago. Okay, the new push stick actually works great, as you just saw in the video. Now I'm going to leave this portion down here rough. I'm not going to sand that because that'll help put a little bit of friction onto the wood as I shove it through. And I think this notch at the back is going to be just perfect. I like the angle that I have on the handle, and I like the fact that my hand is actually enclosed, so there's no chance of it slipping off and going into the blade of the saw. So for something that was very, very easy to design and something that I literally freehanded sketched out, I think is really going to work good. Now the next thing I want to be able to do is show you just how simple it is to be able to do a regular simple push stick. I want to make another push stick like this one, only a little bit longer. And one of the best ways to be able to do that is when you go to the paint store and they give you a whole bunch of paint sticks, you'll probably have some left over. This is perfect for making the push sticks with. Now if it has paint on it, no big deal, just don't throw it away. Let it dry and it still would be very useful for your push stick. Now recently I did a project and I have a bunch of these little scraps. So rather than throwing them away, I saved them. So I'm going to make my push stick out of this today. Now for this push stick, I want this one, the new one, to be longer. So I'm going to put that right down here, and all I'm going to do is trace it. This was a flat portion along here, so I'm going to leave that. And this one was here, and I want to make it about 3-4 inches longer. So I'm going to line up my bottom edge. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my notch right there. And then the last bit of it will be free-handed in, just as I had done before. So I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw and cut this one out. But I want to show you up close in the camera, you can make these very, very easy. Now cutting this out on the bandsaw takes really no time at all. Something I want to be able to point out to you guys, if you'll recall from some of my other videos, that I had quite a bit of vibration in this Harbor Freight bandsaw. And the one thing I had done is I had balanced the top wheel, but I never really took the time to balance the bottom wheel. And recently I did that. And you can see now that this bandsaw is just solid as a rock with no vibration. And there's the new push stick. I'm just going to take it over to the sander and clean up the edges a little bit, and it's ready to use. I decided to use my little small belt sander for this, and this works real well. All I want to do is just smooth out the edges. So there you have it. In a matter of just a very, very few minutes, I've been able to make 2 push sticks that will help improve the safety in the shop. The first one, I just free-handed this one, and I think it is going to work great. This one I should have made a long time ago. And then the other one, from a piece of scrap wood, I was able to sketch out this, and make this one. Both will be great additions to the shop. So I hope you think about this and do the same in your shop. Leave me a comment down below if you use push sticks in your shop on the saw, and if so, and I hope it is, what type do you use? Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also, check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.